can look at a child like in school and I feel like the child just falls down and collapses and faints. I looked at the teacher, maybe she shouted at me and she became blind.
When you were born, were you presented to an altar? If yes, what is the spiritual being in charge of that altar that you were presented to? The confession of James from Uganda is mind-blowing. This is his confession told in story format. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow my channel. Before James was born to a royal, regular Uganda family, his dad, who wanted an heir, already had 4 girls. And the mom was so desperate to have a boy who is going to inherit whatever the dad had when he is gone. Being desperate and in need for a male child for her husband, she went to some shady spiritual places to get blessings in order to have a male child. She ended up having the 5th girl. And then she went ahead to different other places. And then she had the 6th girl. On the 7th try, this woman decided not to make mistakes no more. She decided to leave the shores of Uganda and travel all the way to Tanzania. When she got to this place, she planned to meet with a priestess that is going to give her a male child. On arrival, she was supposed to go inside the woods in the forest, very far away from normal life, and she traveled about 700 kilometers inside the forest. But she was surprised when she got to the destination. She was not able to see the priestess immediately. She was told to undress herself and stay naked for 7 days without eating any cooked food. The intention was to make her spiritually cleansed and ready to meet with this special priestess. On the 7th day, this lady was ushered in to meet with this priestess. She was very surprised to see, according to James, that this lady had only 1 breast. And then the woman turned to James' mother at the time and told her, "Go, I cannot help you." James' mother was very devastated and disappointed as she turned back. But instead of going back to Uganda, she decided to repeat the process again, showing how desperate she was. She actually stayed 7 extra nights naked without food in order to repeat the process. She was ushered in the 2nd time, and when the priestess saw her, she said, "You again." And the priestess went ahead. She said, "You have a son, but he is far away in the rocks." She also said that this son of yours has a strange star, and if we let him into the world, he's going to cause trouble for us. But then there is an option. 1, you are going to sacrifice a lot of cows to us. And secondly, before the 1st day of his birth is over, you must bring him to me and offer him as a husband to me. This priestess was 60 years old. The mother, who was very, very desperate, agreed to all these conditions. She went back home in anticipation, and on the 9th month, she gave birth to a boy. And in order to keep to the promises to the priestess, she sneaked out of the hospital after the labor with the little child, which was barely 1 day old, back to Tanzania, to the same spot in the forest where she met with this priestess.
You must bring that child to the forest before the end of the fast day.
But she was very surprised to see that about 100 people were already seated in this forest waiting for the newborn baby. She presented the baby to the priestess and they both got married. The priestess at that point transferred powers to the 1-day-old child and told the mom that now this child is a man, no longer a boy. He also instructed the mom not to feed the child breast milk because he is a man. Scared, the woman went back home and everyone at home was worried, searching for her. But then she went and dropped the child in a cot and went to take a bath. When she came back to breastfeed this child, although she was told not to, she was surprised to see the child being coiled around by a very huge python. She was very, very scared and no one could go close. Even the father of the child couldn't lay hands on his own child. And word spread around the village. No one wanted to come close to this child because they felt it was evil. No one was brave enough to come close, even the mother. The child was not fed for the whole day. The days ran into weeks and weeks ran into months. For complete 3 months, the python wouldn't let anybody come close to the child. But yet, the child was alive and doing very well with the python in the room alone. The dad was so worried that he decided to take the 6 girls and left the house. The mom was very devastated and she developed a mental breakdown. Significantly, when the dad left, the python also left the child for the first time and never came back. And the only person that was left to take care of this child was the mom's brother, who is a drunk. And at this point, the child was 3 months old. He was taken care of by this uncle until he got to 4 years. And one day, some men bumped into the house in his presence and shot his uncle several times in his presence until his uncle passed away. According to James, he said this was orchestrated by the devil in order, through his pain, trap his soul and use him. He was grieving, and after that he was taken, in his words, to a sacred religious ground where the occult bury and keep their deceased members. He was locked up in this space alone with some dead bodies. He was very, very scared as a 4 years old. And inside that place, he went through some torment, and that was when he met with the devil for the first time. And within those days, the python that took care of him while he was a little boy resurfaced again. This time, not to take care of him, but according to James, the python entered his body spiritually. And then after that, he was taken back home. After this process, which he called an initiation, he now possessed some spiritual powers that the villagers could not help but see. And although he was just 4 years old, he was called a baby witch. But then people consulted him when they had spiritual needs. But when you come to him for some spiritual help, you must present yourself naked. According to James, he said this was very traumatizing for him. According to him, at 7, he became a territorial witch, controlling the southern Uganda and the northern Tanzania, the Kangara and Kutanga region, which is divided by the local rivers. But before he could attain to that position, he had to eliminate the present territorial witch. This proves that the devil comes to kill, to steal, and destroy, not only the children of God, but also its own. At 9, he was able to cause a lot of harms. For example, he said he made a teacher who made him angry, blind. This coincides with Erika Mokisa's story. Just in case you would like to watch Erika Mokisa's confessions, at the end of this video, you will find it linked. And remember to subscribe to my channel. At this point, the mom was mentally stable. She was able to realize that through the course of this boy's life up until 9, that this boy has caused a lot of harm. So she decided to take this boy for some spiritual help in order to shred him of these powers. And then she went to witch doctors. But surprisingly, when the boy gets there, she destroys the witch doctors spiritually. And each time the mom becomes disappointed. But based on the advice of a friend, the mom took this boy to a special witch doctor. But before she went to this mission, she begged the son, please, do not frustrate my intentions. The boy agreed, but when they got there, the witch doctor approached the little boy and begged the little boy, please, do not destroy me and don't waste your powers on an old, dying man. That was when the mom realized that this is bigger than she knew. The native doctor went ahead and told the mom, the only way you can save this child is to take this child to a church. But then before you go, I'm going to show you an experiment so you understand what we are dealing with. He took this little 9-year-old boy and put him in a hut. He set the hut on fire. And when the fire completely burnt out, they searched for this boy in the remains of the fire. He was not there. But when the mom went back home, he saw his 9-year-old child completely okay at home, chilling. Kindly watch the next video to see how all this was resolved and how he lived his life as an adult. And if you like contents like this, remember to subscribe and follow my page.